She wasn't like the others. I always thought I'd see it coming, that if someone was going to hurt me, really hurt me, I'd at least recognize it before it was too late. But I didn't. Because the truth is, when someone breaks you slowly, gently, with a smile on their face and your name still warm on their lips, it doesn't feel like pain. Not at first. It feels like love. Her name was Lexi. She wasn't like the others. And maybe that's exactly why she got away with it. We met during a group project in our psychology class. She was the one who actually cared about the grade, or at least pretended to. Always taking charge, always organizing Zoom calls and color-coded folders. She had this chaotic energy. Unpredictable. The kind that makes everyone else a little nervous but strangely drawn in. She wore her hair in a messy bun with pencils jammed through it. Drank black coffee like water. Said things like, "I don't believe in monogamy," the same way most people talk about the weather, casually, like a fact of nature. And still, I fell hard. I wasn't the type of guy girls like her usually noticed. I was quiet, steady, always the friend, never the risk. But she noticed me. More than noticed. She pulled me in. "God, you're so grounded," she said once, after one of our late-night study sessions. "It's kind of hot, actually." That one line undid years of invisibility. I didn't know it then, but Lexi didn't fall for people. She collected them. And I was just another one of her little treasures, something soft and loyal to keep around for rainy days. It started innocently enough. Movie nights, long conversations, shared playlists. Then came the touches, subtle at first. Her hand brushing mine, her legs against mine on the couch. The way she leaned in too close when she laughed. I should have asked what we were, but I didn't want to ruin it, because I was already falling. She kissed me the night before our final project was due. Out of nowhere. No lead up. No warning. 1 second we were arguing about font sizes in the PowerPoint, and the next, her lips were on mine. And then she pulled away, smiled, and said, "Let's not make it weird." I laughed, even though nothing about it felt funny. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the kiss in my head like it was proof that maybe, just maybe, this was something. That I was finally enough for someone like her. But Lexi didn't give answers. She gave just enough to keep me hooked. The next time we hung out, she didn't mention the kiss. Acted like it hadn't happened. But when I went to leave, she tugged my hoodie, pulled me back in, and kissed me again. Harder this time. Then whispered, "See you tomorrow," like we were something real. I remember texting my best friend that night. I think she likes me, but I was wrong. She didn't like me. She liked control. She liked being wanted. She liked the power of being able to snap her fingers and watch someone rearrange their life around her. And I did. I dropped everything for her. Plans, people, priorities. Because when she was sweet, when she was present, it felt like the world stopped spinning just to give us this moment. But those moments got rarer, and the silences between them got longer. She'd disappear for days, then show up at my place like nothing happened, curl up next to me on the couch, steal my food, wear my shirts. And every time I started to question it, to ask, to push, she'd shut me down with a look, a kiss, or that voice that made everything sound like I was the one being unreasonable. "You're thinking too much again," she'd say. "You're gonna ruin this." And I believed her. Because by then, I was addicted. Not to her, but to the version of her she showed me in flashes. The girl who kissed my forehead when I was anxious. The girl who texted me pictures of sunsets and said, "This reminded me of you." The girl who once held my hand under the table when we were out with friends and whispered, "I like you more than I should." That girl was a ghost, but I kept chasing her, even when everything else started to rot. Even when she started mentioning other guys casually like it didn't matter. "Logan's so annoying, he won't stop flirting with me." "Ugh, Drew said he wants to take me out, can you believe that?" And I'd laugh, pretend I wasn't bleeding, because I didn't want to seem jealous, didn't want to lose her. But the truth is, I never really had her. And deep down, I think she liked it that way. She didn't say anything right away after I kissed her. Just looked at me, really looked, like she was trying to read everything in my face at once. Then she kissed me back. Not a sweet kiss. It was slow, intense, like she was claiming something. I remember her whispering, "Took you long enough." We started dating from that night. At first, everything was electric. I mean, I'd never had a girlfriend like her. Lexi didn't play by the rules. She was unpredictable, showing up at my dorm window at midnight with takeout, stealing my hoodie before a lecture just to see me flustered, challenging professors during class with these wild but brilliant insights. She was like a thunderstorm wrapped in velvet. People noticed when we started dating. My friends were surprised, to put it mildly. Liam was the first to say anything out loud. Dude, Lexi? That Lexi? Are you serious? I didn't get what he meant at first. He tried to backpedal, of course. Said she just seemed a little intense. That was putting it lightly. She was intense. But I liked that. It felt like I mattered to her. Like I was the only one she turned that intensity on. When she focused on me, it was total. She made me feel like I was the center of her world. And she could be so sweet. Little things. Like leaving notes in my backpack, always with a sharp little joke or something dirty in Latin. Or the way she remembered the smallest details, how I hated the smell of raw onions, the exact brand of cereal I liked as a kid, the fact that I always shook my leg when I was nervous. She noticed everything. I fell fast. Harder than I ever thought I would. Looking back now, I realize I didn't fall in love with her. I fell in love with the idea she gave me, that I was the exception, that she'd picked me out of everyone because I was different. But I wasn't. Things started to shift around month 3. Nothing big at first, just little cracks. She'd disappear sometimes. Not for days or anything, just for an evening or a night. She'd say she needed space, that her head was messy, that she didn't want to dump her psychotic energy on me. I told myself it was healthy. I mean, people need space, right? But something about the way she'd go cold, almost robotic, made me uneasy. Like she could just shut it off, whatever connection we had, and step away. She always came back though, with tears in her eyes sometimes. Apologies. She'd climb into my bed and curl up against me like a scared child. I'm just broken, she'd whisper. Don't give up on me. And I didn't. God, I should have. But I didn't. I didn't just stay. I doubled down. I started reading articles about trauma bonding, childhood attachment, emotional dysregulation, trying to understand her, to fix it. Fix her. I thought that if I just loved her the right way, gave her enough patience and understanding, she'd finally be okay. That we would. She seemed to want that too in her better moments. She'd talk about the future like it was a fact. She said she wanted to leave the country after graduation, Paris or Berlin, maybe, and write a book about her life. You'll come with me, right? She'd ask. We'll get some shitty flat, drink wine, and make love on the floor 'cause we can't afford a bed. I always said yes. But in her other moments, she was someone else. Detached, cold, cruel, even. She'd pick at me, mock my music taste, insult my clothes, call my writing predictable. Then 5 minutes later, she'd be in my lap again, whispering, "You know I'm just testing you, right? Seeing if you'll stay when I show you the worst." And I did. Every time. The first real incident happened one Friday night. We'd made plans to meet at a campus bar. I got there a little early, ordered drinks, waited. 30 minutes passed. Then an hour. I texted, called. Nothing. Finally, close to midnight, I got a message. Come to the roof. I knew which one she meant, the top of the architecture building. We used to sneak up there sometimes to smoke and look at the stars. So I went. She was sitting on the ledge, legs dangling over the edge like it was nothing. There was a guy next to her. I didn't know him. I froze. He had his hand on her thigh, and she didn't move it. She saw me and smiled. Not a guilty smile. Just amused. "Oh hey, babe," she said casually. "This is Rowan. He's in my lit class. We were just talking about Kafka. He thinks the metamorphosis is about freedom. Can you believe that?" I looked at Rowan. He looked at me. Awkward. Like he didn't know whether he was supposed to leave. "You said you were coming alone," he mumbled to her. She rolled her eyes. "I am. He's just my boyfriend. Just..." I left without a word. She didn't chase me. She didn't call. The next day, she showed up at my place like nothing had happened. Brought croissants and coffee. Acted like I was the one who'd overreacted. "He's just a friend," she said. "You're being insecure." I wanted to scream. But instead, I let her in. I should have walked away that morning. I should have slammed the door in her face and told her to go fuck herself, or at least asked the basic question, why was his hand on your thigh? But I didn't. I told myself I was being dramatic. That maybe she was right. Maybe I was insecure. Maybe I didn't understand her kind of freedom. Because that's how she always framed it. Everything she did, the late night hangouts with random guys, the long silences, the emotional whiplash, it was all part of her authenticity. Her refusal to be tamed or boxed in. She hated the idea of traditional relationships, called them patriarchal prison cells. I tried to believe that was brave. She was the first girl who made me feel like loving her meant learning a new language. Like there was this complex code of unspoken rules I needed to crack to earn her trust. And I wanted so badly to get it right. So I apologized. I told her I was sorry for walking away, that I should have trusted her. She smirked like she'd won. But the seed was planted. That night on the roof stayed with me like a splinter in the back of my mind. Small, sharp, always there. After that, things shifted. Subtly, at first. She started talking about other guys more. Sometimes to make me jealous, I think. Sometimes just because she could. A few weeks later, she dropped a line mid-conversation like it was nothing. I used to sleep with my high school philosophy teacher. He was married. Funny, right? I didn't laugh. She saw my face and tilted her head. What? You're not jealous, are you? I didn't know what to say. So I said nothing. She kissed me like it was a test I'd passed. One night we were at a party, loud, packed, lights flickering, and she vanished for over an hour. I searched every room. Finally found her in a bedroom upstairs, sitting on the edge of a bed with some guy. The door wasn't fully closed. She was laughing at something he said, holding a red plastic cup, her body angled toward him. She looked up, saw me in the doorway. Didn't move. Didn't flinch. Relax, she said. We're just talking. The guy looked at me like he was the one caught doing something wrong. I asked her to come downstairs. She refused. Told me to stop being possessive. I left again, this time angrier. And once more, she didn't follow. She came back to my place the next day wearing his hoodie. When I pointed it out, she said, "You're so observant. It's hot." Then she took it off and climbed into my bed. I didn't ask questions. I let her lie. And I let myself believe it wasn't what it obviously was. I don't know if that made me weak or just desperate, but I remember lying awake that night while she slept next to me and thinking, this is going to destroy me, and knowing I'm not going to stop it. Looking back, there were 100 exits I could have taken, moments where I could have just walked away with some dignity left. But I kept telling myself, it's not that bad yet. And every time I thought about leaving, she'd pull me back in with just enough softness to confuse me. Like the night she showed up at my place in the rain, soaked through and shivering, mascara streaking down her face. No call, no text, just knocking at 2 a.m. She looked like a ghost. I had nowhere else to go, she said. I didn't ask why. I didn't ask what happened. I just let her in, wrapped her in towels, made tea, sat with her in silence until she leaned into me and whispered, "I hate everyone but you." And like an idiot, I believed it. For the next few weeks, she was perfect. Attentive, soft, present. We watched movies, held hands, talked for hours. She made playlists for me, left notes on my pillow. For the first time in a long time, I let myself believe she'd chosen me. Then it was like a switch flipped. She started pulling away again, replying with one-word texts, forgetting plans, calling me clingy when I asked if everything was okay. And then came Eli, her old friend from back home. The way she said it made it sound innocent, distant, but I knew the type. I saw the photos on her phone, him shirtless in the background of some kitchen, her smiling like she used to smile at me. I asked who he was. She rolled her eyes. "God, you're so insecure." I pressed. She snapped. Said she didn't owe me a fucking explanation. Then came the silence. 3 days of it. Nothing but that black void she used like a weapon. And just when I was about to finally cut the cord, to send the message, to block her, to move the hell on, she texted me a photo. A blurry Polaroid. Us, back in September. She'd written on it in black marker, "You were the only real thing I ever had." I caved. Of course I did. She showed up that night, kissed me without a word, and we fell back into bed like nothing had happened. But something had changed. Because the next morning, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed. And for the first time, I looked. I wish I hadn't. I didn't scroll far. Just one preview. "Eli, last night was fucking perfect. You taste the same." I felt my whole body freeze. I didn't even hear the water shut off. Just saw her walk out, towel around her, hair dripping, and look at me like she knew. Like she dared me to say it. I held up her phone. She didn't blink, didn't flinch, just stared. Then she smiled, a slow, bitter thing, and said, "What did you expect?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. She grabbed the phone from my hand, threw on her clothes without another word, and left. And that should have been it. That should have been the end. But I already knew myself too well. I wasn't done. Not even close. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't eat the next day. Didn't speak to anyone for 2 full days. My brain was looping that one message over and over. You taste the same. Like he'd had her before. Like she was some possession passed around. Like I was nothing but the intermission. I kept hearing her voice, too. That sick little smile when she said, "What did you expect?" Was I really that pathetic? Was it that obvious to everyone but me? She didn't call. Didn't explain. Didn't even try. And I hated that it hurt more than if she'd yelled or begged. Her silence was absolute. Like I was already gone from her life and didn't even get the courtesy of closure. But then 4 days later, she sent me a voicemail. No text. No warning. Just a 42-second voice message. And like a junkie, I listened the second I saw it. Hey, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I guess I didn't mean to hurt you. Okay? You were good to me. Better than I deserved. But I'm not built like you. I never was. I need more than just safe. I need to feel alive, and sometimes that means doing stupid shit. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wanted you to know that I did love you. In my way. I still do. But it's not the kind that keeps someone around. I'm sorry. For everything. I'm sorry. I played it 12 times. Then deleted it. But by then it was too late. The damage was done. She'd planted just enough doubt, just enough hope, to sink her hooks back in. That was always her gift. To make you question your own anger. And sure enough, a week later, she messaged me again. Can we talk? I should have ignored it. Instead, I said, when? We met at the park where we had our first date. It was early evening, golden light cutting through the trees like it did back then. I sat on the same bench. She walked up in a hoodie and jeans, hair tied back, no makeup. She looked small. She sat down next to me and didn't say anything for a full minute. Then, quietly, "You hate me." I swallowed. I don't know what I feel. She looked down at her hands. I wasn't lying in the voicemail. I loved you. I still do. But I wasn't ready. I messed everything up. I didn't speak. I just want to know if there's any part of you that could maybe, not now, but one day, trust me again. I turned to her. Really looked at her. She looked broken. But I couldn't tell if it was real or just another performance. And still, I nodded. God help me, I nodded. Because despite everything, some part of me still wanted it. Still wanted her. So we started again. Sort of. We didn't call it dating. She said she wanted to rebuild trust. But I noticed how she still kept her phone face down. Still went out with friends and never posted. Still dodged simple questions. I asked her, once directly, "Are you still talking to Eli?" She looked at me, deadpan. Does it matter? I felt that chill again, but I didn't push it. Because by then, I was already in too deep. It was a slow erosion. Not one explosion, but 1,000 little cuts. She started coming over less. Started replying later. Stopped saying goodnight. The older, the girl who would send 10-minute voice notes just because she missed me, she was gone. Replaced by someone cool, controlled, detached. And me? I was clinging to scraps. One day she came over, and I tried to kiss her. She turned her head. Not now, she said, brushing past me. I stared at her. Do you even want to be here? She didn't answer at first. She just pulled out her phone, checking something. Then, I wouldn't be if I didn't. But there was no warmth in it. Just obligation. I remember staring at her as she sat on my bed, legs crossed, scrolling through TikTok like I wasn't even there. And I thought, she's not mine anymore. She's just waiting for something better to come along. That night, I told myself I'd end it. That I'd finally get the closure I deserved. But when she got up to leave and I said, "Can we talk?" she cut me off with, "Please don't start." And I didn't. Because she had trained me to believe that my feelings were inconvenient. We kept doing this broken routine for weeks. Until one Friday night, she didn't show up at all. No text. No call. I waited for hours. And when I finally messaged her, just a simple, "Hey, everything okay?" she left me on read. That night, I drank. A lot. And around 1 a.m., I did something I hadn't done since the beginning. I checked her tagged photos on Instagram. She never tagged herself in anything. She always posted safe. But one of her friends, Leah, had uploaded a story earlier that night. It was still up. It was dark, loud, clearly a party. And there, for just 2 seconds, the camera panned across the room and caught her. My girl, on another guy's lap, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder, laughing. She looked happy, genuinely, effortlessly happy. And it wasn't with me. I sat there on my bed, frozen. Then, slowly, I watched the story again. And again. trying to catch some detail, some sign that maybe I was wrong, that maybe it wasn't her. But it was. The way she twirled her hair, the rings on her fingers, the fucking hoodie, my hoodie. She wore my clothes to sit on another guy's lap. And that was when something in me finally cracked. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at the screen and whispered, "You never stopped, did you?" She never picked me again. She just paused me. And I let her. Because love, real love, makes you blind. But betrayal? Betrayal opens your eyes in the worst way. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat there, staring at the screen like it might change. Like maybe the pixels would rearrange, and I'd see something different. Something that didn't gut me. But the truth doesn't flinch when you stare at it. The next morning, I didn't even wait. I messaged her. Me, saw Leah's story. Read. No reply. 15 minutes passed. 30. An hour. Then finally. Her. Can we not do this over text? I laughed. Loud, bitter. She didn't want to do this over text, but she had no problem humiliating me over social media. I typed back. You could have told me you were done, instead of dragging it out. Her. I wasn't dragging anything. I just needed space. You needed space? You were on his lap. No response. That was it. No denial. No, it's not what it looked like. No fight for me. No guilt. She didn't even bother lying. And that told me everything. She didn't contact me again that week. Or the next. She just vanished, like we had never meant anything. But it didn't end there. A few weeks later, she came back. Because they always do. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was at my place, alone, trying to rebuild myself, brick by broken brick, when I heard the knock. I opened the door and saw her. Same smile. Same hair tucked behind her ear. Like nothing had happened. Hey, she said softly. I didn't move. What do you want? She bit her lip. Looked away. Then back at me. Can we talk? Part of me wanted to slam the door. But a bigger part, the stupid, stubborn part that still loved the ghost of who she used to be, stepped aside. She walked in like it was still her place. And I hated how natural it felt. She sat down on the couch, folded her hands in her lap, and took a deep breath. I didn't handle things right. I know that. But I need you to understand, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was just confused. I didn't expect to meet someone else. And it kind of just happened. I stared at her, silent. She continued. He was just there. And he made me feel something I hadn't felt in a while. I didn't plan it. I didn't mean to fall for him. I was lost. That word again. Lost. They always say that. As if cheating is something you trip into. Like she fell, and whoops, landed in his arms. I finally spoke. You didn't get lost. You just left. You made a choice. Over and over again. She looked down. And then, the most infuriating part, she started to cry. I know. I messed everything up. I ruined us. And for a moment, I felt that old instinct to comfort her. But I didn't. Not this time. I leaned forward, voice quiet but firm. Why are you here? Really? She wiped her eyes. He's not who I thought he was. It was fun at first, but he doesn't care about me. He just wanted the chase. And now, I don't know. I miss how safe you made me feel. I almost laughed. Safe. I was her emotional airbag, her fallback, her cushion. She didn't miss me. She missed the feeling of being adored. I stood up. I'm not your backup plan. Her eyes widened. She hadn't expected this version of me. Wait, are you saying you don't want to even try again? I walked to the door. I'm saying I deserve someone who doesn't have to lose me to see my worth. She just sat there, stunned. I opened the door and nodded toward it. Goodbye. And for the first time, I was the one walking away. She didn't follow, didn't plead, just slipped past me, out the door. No dramatic ending, no grand apology, just silence. And it was enough. Because sometimes, closure isn't a conversation. It's finally seeing the truth and choosing yourself. The door clicked shut behind her. And with it, something inside me finally settled. Not peace exactly, but clarity. It wasn't just that she cheated. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the indifference she showed afterward. How she didn't fight for us. How she didn't flinch when it all came crumbling down. That's what broke me more than anything. But now, it was over. And I had to figure out who I was without her. The days that followed were quiet. Still. Too still. The kind of quiet where every sound feels louder. Every memory plays like a movie on repeat. I'd wake up in the middle of the night reaching for someone who wasn't there. See her toothbrush still in the cup. smell her scent on the hoodie she always wore. And each time I had to remind myself she chose someone else, over and over again. But the mind's a cruel place. It loops what hurts. It asks why 1,000 times and never gives answers. I started avoiding the places we used to go, unfollowed her on everything, blocked her number. But even then, she lingered, not just in memories. People kept bringing her up. Mutual friends asking, "What happened between you two?" Random classmates saying, "Did you hear she and James broke up?" Even my mom, bless her heart, asking if I'd heard from that sweet girl lately. And every time, I had to fake a smile, say I was fine, that I'd moved on. But I hadn't. Not really. Because moving on isn't instant. It's not clean. It's not some Hollywood scene with dramatic music and a new lover walking in at the perfect time. It's messy, ugly, lonely. I spent most evenings walking, just to get out of my own head. One night, I ended up at the lake near campus, the one we used to sit by during summer nights. And for some reason, I sat on that same bench, the one where she first kissed me. I remember she looked at me that night and whispered, "You're different. You're not like the others." Funny how lies sound so sweet when we want to believe them. I stared at the water, watched the moon reflect across the surface, and finally let myself feel everything I'd been suppressing. The hurt, the betrayal, the guilt, the anger. I sat there until my hands went numb and the cold cut through my jacket. And when I finally stood up, something inside me had shifted. Not healed. Not yet. But it cracked open just enough to let the light in. Weeks passed. And slowly, life began again. Classes, work, gym. Routines I used to do without thinking now felt like acts of survival. But I kept going. Then one day, I saw her. Not in person, online. Someone tagged me in a photo. A group shot from a party. And there she was in the background. Not smiling. Not laughing. Just there. Looking down at her phone. Alone. And I didn't feel rage. Or jealousy. Or longing. I felt nothing. And that terrified me because it meant I was finally letting go. But what I didn't expect was what came next. Because just when I thought the worst of it was behind me, when I believed I'd already faced the full depth of her betrayal, she proved there was more. Much more. Because she came back again. Not with tears. Not with apologies. But with accusations. And lies. And manipulation I didn't see coming. She wasn't done with me. Not even close. It started with a message request. Not from her. From some guy I didn't know. At @illet_99. "Bro, are you the one who used to date Emma?" I stared at the name. I didn't recognize the profile. No mutuals. No context. Me. Yeah. Why? At @illet_99. Just thought you should know. She's saying some stuff about you. Thought you might want to see. My stomach turned. I didn't know what I expected, but it definitely wasn't the screenshots he sent next. There she was. Emma. In a private DM thread, talking to someone I'd never even met. Spilling lie after lie. Saying I was obsessed with her. That I couldn't let go. That I kept showing up places she was, and that I was harassing her. I scrolled in disbelief. Each sentence twisted the knife deeper. She was painting me as unstable. A bitter, obsessed ex. Me. The guy who hadn't spoken to her since I told her to leave. Who had gone out of his way to disappear from her life. Now I was the villain in her new version of the story. I sat there, reeling. Trying to process how the same girl who once fell asleep on my chest whispering she felt safest with me was now framing me as some unhinged stalker. I wanted to scream. To confront her. To demand answers. But I didn't. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't about truth anymore. It was about image. She wasn't trying to fix things. She was trying to rewrite them. And people were already believing her. Mutual friends started acting weird. Cold. Distant. One even unfollowed me without a word. Another replied, "Yikes," under one of my stories. And that's when it hit me, she wasn't just done with me. She was erasing me. Smearing me. Destroying the part of the past that made her look bad, so she could step into the future clean. It was character assassination by whispers. And I had no defense. Because in this world, the guy's side of the story rarely gets heard. Especially when the girl knows how to cry on command. I went to Liam. Told him everything. He was the only one who hadn't bought her bullshit. "You need to expose her," he said. "And look like the bitter ex she's claiming I am. Better that than letting her walk all over your name." But I couldn't. Not yet. Because there was still one thing I hadn't faced. One place where the lies would either unravel or become too tangled to fight. Her friend group. The same girls who used to love me. who called me the best thing that ever happened to her. Now, they weren't responding to my messages. So I made a decision. I was going to face them. All of them. It was a Thursday night. I knew they'd be at that bar they always went to, the one with cheap drinks and neon signs and way too many TikToks filmed in the bathroom mirror. I walked in and spotted them instantly. Her 3 closest friends. One looked away when she saw me. The other 2 whispered to each other. I walked straight over. No games. No hesitation. I know what she's been saying. Silence. They exchanged looks. Then one of them, Megan, crossed her arms. You mean about how you can't move on? How you keep popping up everywhere? I laughed. Quietly. Sadly. I haven't spoken to her in months. Haven't texted, haven't called. I blocked her. I cut her out. They didn't respond. So I took out my phone. Showed them the screenshots Eli sent me. Watched their faces shift. First confusion. Then disbelief. Then realization. Megan's eyes flickered. Her voice softened. She told us you were showing up at her job. I've never even been near it. Look at the timestamps. Look at my location tags. She's lying. There was a long pause. Then the third girl, Jenna, muttered under her breath. Jesus, she lied to us too. And that was when the dam cracked. Because people like Emma, they need an audience. They need others to uphold their version of the story. But when the audience turns on them, they panic. And I had a feeling she was about to panic hard. I stared at her, my heart thudding like it was trying to escape my chest. Everything inside me was screaming, disbelief, betrayal, rage, and yet, for a few endless seconds, I stood there frozen. Frozen in the doorway of that apartment I was never supposed to see from this angle. Not as a stranger. Not like this. She wasn't alone. He was there, still half-dressed, still smug, his arm around her waist like it belonged there, like she belonged to him. They both turned when they saw me. Her expression didn't crumble in guilt, didn't twist in panic. No, she looked surprised, but not ashamed. Not even close. Ryan, she said, her voice measured, a little too calm, like she was trying to decide what version of the truth to serve me. What are you doing here? What am I doing here? I wanted to laugh, scream, break something. Instead, I just stared at her, then at him. The pieces were already falling into place, clicking together with brutal precision. The late replies, the vague excuses, the last-minute cancellations, the way she smiled at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. This wasn't some one-night mistake. This wasn't some drunken accident. No, this was them. And I was just the idiot boyfriend who hadn't gotten the memo. I forgot my jacket, I said finally, my voice a hollow echo of what it used to be. You texted me last night that you'd bring it to brunch today. When you didn't show, I figured I'd just grab it. The silence was heavy. She opened her mouth, but it was him who spoke first. Maybe you should leave, man. I turned toward him slowly, my fists clenched so hard my nails bit into my palms. And maybe you should shut the fuck up. He stood, bare-chested, smug, twice as relaxed as he had any right to be. Look, this isn't how we wanted it to come out. But it is what it is, right? I almost laughed again. That same phrase, it is what it is. I'd heard her say that 100 times in the last few weeks. Every time she pulled away. Every time she made me feel like I was reaching for someone already gone. She'd already checked out. I just hadn't seen the sign on the door. I looked back at her. How long? Her mouth tightened. Ryan. How long, Jess? She hesitated. And then, because she always knew I hated lies more than anything, she gave me the truth. For months. 4 months. A third of a year. A third of a year where I thought we were building something, while she was tearing it down behind my back. A third of a year of I love you-s that clearly didn't mean a damn thing anymore. I nodded. There wasn't much else to do. Was any of it real? She blinked. And for the first time, I saw a flicker of something crack in her. Not guilt. Not really. But regret. Or maybe the ghost of what she used to feel. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't mean to? I shook my head. You just tripped and fell into his bed for 4 straight months? That stung. I could see it. But not as much as it should have. Not as much as it would have, if she still cared. I should go, I said quietly. She didn't stop me. Of course she didn't. Because this wasn't my home anymore. And I wasn't her person anymore. I walked out the door, jacket forgotten, and didn't look back. But the worst part? The worst part was how little she tried to stop me. I didn't go home right away. I walked. Down cracked sidewalks, past restaurants we used to go to, under streetlights that once lit our late-night drives. Everything around me felt like it belonged to someone else now. Like I had stumbled out of a life I thought was mine, only to realize it had never been mine to begin with. Her words echoed in my skull. For months. Not for days. Not for weeks. For months of pretending. Of laughing with me in public and laying with him in private. Of planning weekends with me while whispering things in the dark to someone else. I felt like a fool. Not just because she lied, but because I believed her. Because I trusted her. Because I thought she was different. But she wasn't like the others, right? That line came back like a cruel joke. I had defended her with that line. Told my friends, my family, even myself, when things fell off, when red flags waved in front of me like sirens. I'd said it every time someone questioned how fast we'd moved, how much I gave her, how deep I fell. She's not like the others. But in the end, she was exactly like them. Worse, even. Because she knew what I'd been through. She knew what trust meant to me. She promised she wouldn't be the one to break it. And then she shattered it like glass under her heel. I sat on a bench in a quiet park, staring at the ground, trying to hold myself together. But the memories wouldn't stop. Her smile. The way she'd rest her head on my chest. The way she'd whisper mine when she thought I was asleep. All fake. Or maybe not fake, maybe just borrowed. Until someone better came along. And that someone, clearly, wasn't me. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to find a version of the story where she didn't betray me. But there wasn't one. The next day, her name popped up on my phone. I stared at the screen until it stopped ringing. Then she texted, "Please talk to me. You didn't deserve to find out like that. I owe you an explanation. Please." And against every screaming instinct in my gut, I texted back, "Tomorrow. One time. You explain. Then we're done." I hated myself for needing answers. But I couldn't move on without them. I needed to know why. We met at the little cafe on 12th Neutral Ground. It was the same place we'd had our first date. Cruel, right? She came in looking nervous. Not ruined. Not wrecked. Just tense. Like someone about to negotiate a deal, not confess a betrayal. She sat across from me, and for a second, it was almost like nothing had changed. The same girl I used to reach for. The same eyes. The same hands. The same voice that once made me feel like I was home. But nothing was the same. Everything had changed. She sipped her coffee. I didn't touch mine. Then she started talking. "It didn't start because I didn't love you," she said. "I need you to know that." I stayed silent. She kept going. I think I started pulling away long before I admitted it to myself. I was scared. Things got real fast. You were so sure. So steady. And I wasn't ready to be that person you saw. "So you fucked someone else?" I said flatly. Her face crumpled for a moment, but I didn't care anymore. I didn't plan to. I swear I didn't. But it happened. "That's a lie," I said. "You planned every lie you told me. You chose it every time. Don't insult me with, 'It just happened.'" She swallowed hard. I was confused. I laughed, bitter and sharp. "No, you were greedy." That hit. She looked away. I leaned forward. "You had someone who loved you, who trusted you with everything. You wanted more. That's not confusion. That's selfishness." Tears welled in her eyes. But I didn't care. Not anymore. "You said you weren't like the others," I said. "And maybe, for a while, you weren't. But in the end, you were worse. Because you knew what I'd been through. You knew what cheating did to me. And you did it anyway. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did," I said, standing up. "And now, you don't get to fix it. You don't get forgiveness. You don't get a place in my life." She opened her mouth, but I was already walking away. This time, she didn't follow. She just let me go. It took time. Weeks. Months. But the pain dulled. The anger faded. And the scars became reminders not of her, but of me. Of what I survived. Of what I deserved. She wasn't like the others. No. She was the lesson I needed to learn. And I'll never forget it. The end.